Hey everybody, welcome back to Trench Tech, and today I'm going to tell you why I'm returning the Z Fold 4. Now for some of you out there, maybe you watched my live stream and you got kind of most of the reasoning, but this is for everybody else that's going to find this video and why I'm switching back from the Z Fold 4 to the S22 Ultra, which I'm currently recording this video on. Now the first thing, and this is going to be a list of things, but the first thing is the price. $1,800 Z Fold 4. Now, yes, the Z Fold 4 made some good refinements. You do have this front screen here that's a little bit wider than the Z Fold 3, so there's an improvement. I didn't have the Z Fold 3. This is my first foldable, but I'm just kind of going through and explaining all this here. Also, you did have an improvement in the cameras. They basically took the cameras out of the S22 Plus and put those cameras in here, so you can just go ahead and look at that array and basically see how that is. And with the phone, you get a $90 S Pen case. I do have a video basically reviewing that case, so you guys can go ahead and watch it. But long story short, I don't think this should really be worth $90, but that's that's another video that you guys can go ahead and check out. Now you still have the 7.6-inch display. I went ahead and put my anime wallpaper and stuff on there. I do like the display. Like, this inner display is cool to me. It's something that I thought was going to be fragile or easy to scratch because of reviews that I've seen in the past where people are like scratching it up with the fingernails and stuff like that. But you do have a screen protector that's on here, and I'm not taking that screen protector off because I don't want to mess up what's under there. But you at least get a screen protector when it comes from the factory. It is one-handable, so you can actually take this phone and hold it with one hand. You can text with one hand. However, there's a little bit of a drawback because depending on how big your fingers are or how you text, the keyboard is kind of small, so you might run into some issues here. Watching content on here is actually pretty fun because I grew up in the 90s. I like anime, so Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, anything in 4:3, you can have fun watching it with the screen open. The aspect ratio on here actually allows me to watch a bunch of different movies in like 21:9 and like stretch it out and actually watch it kind of almost in the correct format. The battery life on here is great because you have the Snapdragon 8th Gen Plus 1 yada yada whatever. It's more efficient, it sips less battery, so the battery life on here is hanging with the S22 Ultra. And you have the same battery size, but the fact that this has a 4400 milliamp hour battery and my S22 Ultra has a 5000 milliamp hour battery, that's pretty impressive. Okay, that's pretty decent. Now with the front facing camera, you do have, I believe, a 10 or 12 megapixel front facing camera. You guys can correct me down in the comment section below if I got that wrong. The selfies on here are decent. Okay, they're not excuse me, they're not something that's gonna blow you away or anything like that, in my opinion, but they're decent. Okay, they're on the flagship level of, let's say, paying $1,000 for a phone and stuff like that. The cameras on the back are pretty decent cameras too. You can take pictures of your kids or your pets, of outside and all that stuff. It's pretty much the standard when it comes to photos on a flagship camera. And I'm trying to think of everything else that I can mention as far as features before I get into the cons, because that is going to be an interesting part. Oh yeah, you also do have the S Pen here on the back that you can use on the inner display. However, you cannot use this S Pen on the outer display, and as far as I believe, you can't use any other S Pen on the outer display. And it does have 25-watt charging, so for some of you that may be fast enough, some of you it may not be fast enough. You have the whole armor aluminum and all that stuff, but as you guys know me, I don't trust anything what they say about armor aluminum. It's aluminum, it's gonna scratch, the coating is gonna scratch, so you guys might want to just watch out for that. The other thing you have is Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and on the back. However, I don't trust anything Gorilla Glass. Sidewalks will mess it up. Concrete will mess it up. Random things will mess it up. Also, the glass is susceptible to micro scratches, so you better watch out with having stuff in your pocket, or just other things like over time having abrasions. You may want to put a screen protector on there. Now that I've said all of those positive things about this phone and got that out the way, because people, for whatever reason, they miss it. Oh, also it has a side fingerprint sensor. I like that fingerprint sensor more than an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. But yeah, now I've got that all out the way. For $1,800 in 2022 and Samsung, I don't think this phone is worth it for me. For you, it might be worth it. You might be balling out of control. You might love foldables, but for me, it's not worth it. And this is the reason why I'm going to tell you why. One, yes, this is my first foldable. It takes a little bit while for me to get used to it and all this other stuff, but I just found myself not using it to the level that I use my S22 Ultra. Yes, this is the third day. Yes, it takes time to adapt. But for me, if I'm paying $1,800, then I should be able to adapt to it and be good for it out the gate. I should love it, right? Because if you're going to spend any amount of money on something, you should love it. You should be happy with it. You shouldn't just be content with it. I am not fully happy with this phone. I'm content with it. It's something that, since it's laying around and I look at it, I'm like, okay, maybe I should use it, but it's not the first thing that I'm going for. So other people out there, if you have an S22 Ultra, you may feel the same way if you go from an S22 Ultra to this. Other people, if you want the Fold 4, get the Fold 4. I don't care. I'm not in your life or anything like that, but that's that. The second part is, we all knew this. I'm going to say this ahead of time, but it is a minor upgrade from the Fold 3 to the Fold 4 in certain areas. It is a massive upgrade in battery life, probably a little bit better upgrade in performance, but everything else is very minor, very iterative, if that's the right word. So, but I'm not really judging it against the Fold 3. I'm actually judging this against the S22 Ultra. Now, if you go to Samsung and you say, hey, give me your best phone for $1,800, well, for $1,800, you would expect the best that Samsung has to offer inside this package. However, for $1,800, you are not getting the full best and brightest of what Samsung gives you. Yes, you get the inner display, you get the folding hinge, you get all of the other little stuff in here. However, you get front-facing camera, 10 to 12 megapixels. Your S22 Ultra comes with 40 megapixels. Right now, I'm recording this on the S22 Ultra. To me, the S22 Ultra is killing it as far as the video is concerned, and as far as the selfie cam is, and the fact that the front-facing camera records as good as the rear cameras on here in a certain degree is kind of hilarious with a phone that's $1,200 compared to another phone that's $1,800. So at least, I would like to have the same selfie camera because I'm paying $1,800. Also, the cameras on the back, main sensor cool, wide sensor cool, telephoto is limited because this doesn't have the same telephoto performance as the S22 Ultra. If I take my S22 Ultra right now and go run down the street, I can see stuff 50 yards away easily, record it, and it's good. The S22 Ultra is amazing all the way up to 30x time zoom. Anything after 30x time zoom kind of gets a little wonky or whatnot, or almost not really usable. 30x on here, even though they advertise it, is terrible. It is awful. Do not use 30x on the Fold. Just like you don't want to use 100x on the S22 Ultra, don't use 30x on here. So pretty much the most you're going to get out of here is 10x. 10x zoom is comparable to an iPhone, okay? And this iPhone is hundreds of dollars cheaper, but they have very similar camera performances. So for a folding phone that's $1,800, I'm getting the camera performance of a $1,200 phone. Once again, price, that's an issue for me. Now, the other issue I have is with this whole S Pen situation. Samsung has figured this out for years. Like, this has been a thing for years. With the Note series, they took the S Pen, they put it inside the phone. The S series just didn't have an S Pen or whatnot. You come out with a Fold, you want to introduce the S Pen. I would think that at some point you would put the S Pen inside of the phone. We are on the 4th generation of this phone, and the best answer that they have is to have a pen on the outside of an $1,800 phone. So essentially, even though Samsung gives you this case for free, it retails for $90, but I really don't like the case. That's a whole nother story. You guys can check the video that I made the other day. You're getting a $50 S Pen, but this is a $50 S Pen that's not even Bluetooth. Now, yes, you do have a button on here that you can click and do for some things, but it's not Bluetooth. So pretty much this has to be like right up on here, I guess, for the pen to even recognize it. I don't know if it's like capacitive touch or whatever they're using for the signal to go from here inside the tip or whatever, but all of the fun stuff that you can do with the S Pen on the S22 Ultra, you can't do on here. Also, since it's not Bluetooth, if you put this down, the phone's not going to tell if you lost your pen or not. Sure, that's up to you if you lose your stuff or not, but that's just like an extra feature that I thought was cool in the S22 Ultra, that if you had a pen and you put it inside the Fold 4, it would actually be nice to have. So yeah, the whole S Pen thing kind of feels not really like a thing. Now, I believe you could take the S Pen Pro or whichever one that they call it, that you could use with the S8 plus tablets and all that stuff, and that's supposed to work with that. However, guess what the S Pen doesn't work on? It doesn't work on the front screen, and that to me is another missed opportunity from Samsung, because if you have an S Pen on here, use it on the front screen, use it on the inner screen. Like, having to open up the phone all the way and then take the pen out and then do whatever you want to do and then come back here and then come back here, it's too many steps in my opinion. That to me isn't a very convenient thing to have. Another thing that I'm going to harp on is, like I said, with the selfie camera, you have a selfie camera out here, it's okay. I'm not going to hate on it too badly. The selfie cam inside here, though, is a very mixed bag, because even though you can see the camera kind of disappears and it depends on the angle that you look at, that's a cool feature, but it's not really functional, because taking any sort of photo with this camera is terrible. It is awful. It is a 4 megapixel camera, and I feel like they did it for aesthetics. Some tech reviewers complain like, oh, we can see the hole punch. Who cares? Okay, why even have that terrible camera there in the first place? So like, if you're sitting here trying to use this in flex mode, and let's say you're on a video call or something, and you want people to see you on your video call with this $1,800 phone with this awful camera, this very terrible camera, I think that's kind of a bad thing. Flex mode for me is cool, but it kind of just wore off. Like, you know, I opened it, I flex mode, but for me, it's not it. You know, if you guys enjoy flex mode, for you, if this all works and all that stuff, cool. But for me, and everything that's presented here, it's not okay. Once again, coming back to the cameras, put the cameras, okay, put the S22 Ultra cameras inside this phone. I will say it again. If I am paying $1,800 for this, $1,800, then you should have the best, okay? Now, some people may say trade-ins. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, because I'm just doing all this off the top of my head, but forgive me if I'm mentioning this again. Some people say trade-ins. Well, hey, you're trading in an S22 Ultra. You're not paying a full $1,800. Well, I look at it this way. I paid $1,200 for the S22 Ultra. Then Samsung's gonna give me $1,000, so I kind of lost $200, but I really can't sell my S22 Ultra for $1,000 even if I tried. But then I have to pay another $800 on top of that for a phone that's not going to even have the same capabilities as the S22 Ultra in certain areas. And that for me is kind of a no-go. For you, it may be a no-go if you're enjoying the S22 Ultra and you go to a fold and you like the foldable life and you enjoy it, cool. Totally with you on that. Just for me, it doesn't seem like that kind of a thing. And then, like I said, when you have the Fold 3, you're finding these folds for like $800, $900 in certain places. And for this just to be a refinement year, that to me isn't worth it. However, if you're able to I guess, like, take some of these other phones, like where you're going to AT&T is going to give you $1,000 for an S5 or something like that. If you get this phone for $1,000, sure, that makes sense. I am judging it mainly off of the $1,800 and what I would have to give up to keep this phone. I'm not able to keep this phone and keep my S22 Ultra. So ultimately, if I have to pick between the two, I am going to go with the S22 Ultra over this phone. The other thing is, since this has the new chip in there, the 8th Gen Plus, and there goes all the weed whackers and everything else, but since it has this new chip in here, I believe Samsung's going to do the same thing with the S23 Ultra, and they're going to put the new chip in there. And the S23 Ultra has that chip and it has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, then I'm going to want that. I'm not going to want it to still have this, and it's not going to make sense for me to say, oh, well, let me trade in my Fold and then get an S23 Ultra, because now it has what I actually want. So therein lies another reason for me just to return it. I didn't want to sit there and make a whole bunch of videos talking about how great it was, how much I loved it, just to turn around and say, hey, I'm returning it. Sorry, guys. I'd rather just, tell you guys now, return it, live with that, and then kind of just deal with the rest of the comments section from there. But that's pretty much the main thing, is that I found out that I'm happy with the S22 Ultra. And even though I was sitting there, you kind of sit there and you kind of nitpick at stuff. You're like, well, the battery kind of doesn't last as long. There's some things about this phone that kind of annoy me. But when you go out and get another phone, it's supposed to be more expensive, and you're like, well, I don't feel as good about this phone as I did with my previous phone, then just get rid of the new phone and go back to the old phone. So that is pretty much the gist of it. I really can't think of any other points that I missed. So I've already printed my return label, and I will be shipping this out. And I guess, more or less, I'll probably be making videos back on the S22 Ultra, because, like I said, this is not for me. Now, if you guys do want to save some money, though, start looking around on eBay. Start looking around on Swappa, because I forget the guy's name, but he hit me up on Twitter. He basically showed me a screenshot where they were selling Z Fold 3s for $1,300, which is awesome. And honestly, I would like to get it, but I just don't have $1,300 to give anybody right now. I basically got this because I told them, hey, I'm going to give you a Z Fold 2, and I'm going to give you a S22 Ultra, because with Samsung, you don't have to produce any trade-ins or whatever. You can just say, hey, I'll give you a Z Fold 2, and they'll give you $1,000, and say, hey, I'll give you an S22 Ultra, and they give you another $700. You pay the difference in taxes, they send you the phone, and then basically you're supposed to send back the trade-ins anyway. Well, Trent, what if you don't have the trade-ins? Well, then they just take it off of your card. So if anything, it's kind of like getting it on credit, trying something out, and then, if I wanted to keep it, then sure, sell other stuff and, go with that. But this isn't something I want to keep, so I want to go ahead and return it, get the little bit of money back that I did put towards the phone, and just kind of keep it moving from there. So for those of you out there who didn't know that, that's something that you can actually do. Go to Samsung's website, and you can actually pick your trade-ins. You don't have to send them in until, I believe it's 2 weeks after you actually receive the device. Now, hey, some of you out there might say, well, Trent, That's kind of a scumbag move. That's kind of a lame move or whatnot. And you know what? Hey, you guys can judge me however you want to, but I look at it this way. If I would have sent, like, other companies and stuff, they do it where you have to send the trade-in first. If I would have sent my S22 Ultra in for the trade-in, and the trade-in was $1,000, and then let's say I paid the other $700, and I didn't like the phone, then there's nothing I can do to get my original S22 Ultra back. I would then have to sell this phone that I don't like and then go buy another S22 Ultra. So I don't want to do that, okay? For those of you out there who may not want to do that, you may want to try the Samsung phone. That's the way you can kind of go about it and get around that. So I just being 100% honest with you, because people ask questions and sometimes people wonder, but that's basically what I did. But even with all that, I can't find it in me to go take $1,800 cash and put it on that phone, because everybody doesn't have a trade-in. And that's the argument. Everybody's like, oh, Samsung has these deals, they have these trade-ins, you can do this, you can flip that, you can do this. And to a certain degree, we had a whole flip game going. And I'll tell you guys about this. This whole part is over about the Fold. If you guys came here just to learn about the Fold, you can go ahead and leave now. And I'm just, talking about the rest of this experience of stuff. But the other thing that some of us did as creators, and I was kind of with it too, like I'm like, okay, I kind of see the logic behind it, was Samsung were giving like these really good trade-ins. So part of the game is that, okay, if Samsung is going to give you, let's say like with the Z Flips, right? So with the Z Flip 3, if you're going to get a Z Flip 4, they were going to give you $900 for a Z Flip 3. So what people were doing was they were like, okay, I'm going to go to eBay, I'm going to go to Swappa, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to go buy a Fold for cheaper. Let's say you buy a Fold, or I'm not a Fold, but a Flip for $300 to $400. You go buy it, then you trade that into Samsung. They give you $900, so it's like you spent $300 to get $600 to put towards the new phone, and then you owe $100, so you only spent, what is that? If you like $400, $500 for a $1,000 phone. You shouldn't have to do all of that, okay? Is it cool if it works? Yes. But trying to justify that to most regular people of doing this whole flip game is not really going to make a lot of sense for them, okay? So hear me out here when we're talking about this, okay? Hey, I want to get this phone, but I got to go to this site. I got to go buy the used phone. I got to pray that there's nothing wrong with that used phone to where I can still send it in and they accept that trade-in, and then I'm supposed to get that money off to justify getting this phone for a lower price. Excuse me. You can call it phone hacking or all that stuff, but most people aren't going to go through all that. The only people who are really going to go through that are us, the tech reviewers, people who are tech heads. I'm pretty sure like your mom or your dad isn't going to jump through all those hoops to do all that. They're going to look at this phone, they're going to say $1,800. Why? Explain it to me. Where's the deal? Where's the easiest way to kind of go through this to save money but not have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops? And so, same thing with the Fold. People trying to buy S22 Ultras for $500. Hey, I'll give you $500 for this so I can go flip it for $1,000. Even when I was putting in my trade-ins, I looked and I'm like, okay, I could probably find a Z Fold 2 for $500. But then, okay, I got to go spend $500 to go get a Z Fold 2 and then go trade in a Z Fold 2 so I can get $1,000 off of an $1,800 phone. Yeah, I say $500, but then to trade in my S22 Ultra, they're only going to give me $700 for it. It just seemed like a big, huge waste of time. Like, it really didn't seem like it made a whole lot of sense when it was all said and done. But hey, like I said, if y'all want to do like that whole flip game and all that stuff, go ahead, Here's the funny thing. Um, Samsung, I think, kind of caught on to like some of the videos we were putting out, and other people were telling me that they did this last year too, because Samsung was like, "Oh, well, yeah, we were going to give you $900 for the Z Flip 3 128 gig. Now you're only getting $700 for it." And then they were like, "Well, we'll keep the price the same for the 256." And then 24 hours later, they were like, "Nah, we're only going to give you $800 for the 256." So if you do all that stuff, you got to be on it. You got to be willing to jump through some hoops and all that stuff. So yeah, pretty much with this very long, drawn out rant of a video, that's pretty much why I'm returning the Z Fold 4. To me, the Z Fold 4 is not enough of an upgrade over the S22 Ultra. Even though I'm getting into foldables a little bit, I just can't justify $1,800 for that in my world, right? So just gonna go ahead and leave it there. I'll probably go ahead and make this into a premiere because this is a god awfully long video. And I guess just ask me questions down in the comment section below, and pretty much just go from there. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Let me know how the video quality looks out of the S22 Ultra, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.